Hey everyone, it's Nicole from the Pearl Review. I'm changing it up today because I'm feeling a little self-conscious, so this is more of a collage than a video. I hope that's okay with you. I just really wanted to review this book. I really like it a lot. I recently finished and I'm now re-listening to The Man Who Loved Children by Christina Stead. First heard about this on NPR, and it was a host that I really trusted, so I kind of put this in the back of my mind. And recently I picked up 1,000 Books to Read Before You Die, kind of as help in finding new great books and help with my book club. And I saw the entry again and I thought, wow, I really have to check this book out. One critic fairly said that it's not a book for everyone, but if it's for you, it's really for you. And I really feel that that is true. It's a very difficult book, but it's amazing and it's absolutely underread. It's something that's a very difficult read, but if it's meaningful to you, it just sort of sinks its claws in and doesn't leave you. I also kind of like to think that, like, if you microwaved Moby Dick, a David Sedaris essay, and a John Waters VHS tape together, this is the book that you would get. So if you're into that kind of thing, if you're okay with things getting like harrowing and seedy, like, strap yourself in. This book has been described as if like Little Women was written by a devil. So if you're in for it, here's my glowing review. The Man Who Loved Children is the story of the Pollitt family. The real main characters are the parents, Sam and Henny, and the oldest child, Louie. I think her age ranges from 12 to 14 in the novel. So basically, Sam and Henny are raising 6 and eventually 7 children near Washington, D.C., 1937. Sam is an idealistic narcissist. He's pretty much unbearable. He needs the audience of his children to unceasingly air out his garbled, insane philosophies. He mixes everything in. He's a complete fool. He works for the government in conservation. God knows how he's able to manage holding on to the job. And he is this really positive person, while Henny is this, his wife is a bottomless, enraged, mysterious, like plagued soul. She's the type of housewife that basically a drag queen would use in terms of like reference for creating a persona. She hurls insults at her children and Sam, and despite his patronizing her, she's actually the person who keeps the family afloat. She takes whatever earnings that she has from her millionaire parents, which is not much, it's meager. And, you know, she drudges in the housework and she kind of keeps things together. And Sam has no idea. He thinks that he is like the king of his world and is completely blind. It's almost like a King Lear scenario, but you have like no respect for Sam. So the parents vie for their children's affection, and this book sends us into the maelstrom of their toxic home. In the eye of the storm is Louie, the eldest daughter of Sam, and Henny's one stepdaughter, growing into adolescence, coming into her own. Louie is based on Stead's own childhood, and the whole family is. I think the father is really grafted from her own father. Louie reminds me actually of Virginia Woolf. She's dreamy, brilliant, poetic, and indefatigable. And we kind of see if, you know, is she going to make it? Is she going to escape the clutches of this crazy family? This book is darkly comic. Both parents are larger than life and absolutely monstrous, but they're also funny. Anyone who had a particularly difficult childhood might treasure this book. And that's kind of a weird thing to say, because I know I said that this is a harrowing book. It really is brutal. There's so much violence in this book. Mostly in language. There's just certain sentences that are just like on fire. They are so cruel to one another, the parents, and the children are so vulnerable, and you really see that in the book, like the vulnerabilities of childhood. Stead actually had an extremely difficult time writing this novel because she dragged out the ugliest realities that she herself witnessed. In terms of subject matter, I found this book cathartic in its rendering of family life. Randall Jarrell, whose essay is usually included in the introduction of the book, makes some wonderful points about this book. His essay has actually been really lauded in terms of like analysis and insight into the novel. The man who loved children knows as few books have ever known, knows specifically, profoundly, exhaustively what family is. And yet, as we read it, we keep thinking, how can anything so completely different from me and mine be somehow me and mine? The book has an almost frightening power of remembrance, and so much of our early life is repressed, forgotten, both in books we read and the memories we have, that this seems friendly of the book, even when what it reminds us of is terrible. A family's private life is as immoderate and insensate compared to its public life as our thoughts are compared to our speech. Dostoevsky wrote, almost every reality, even if it has its own immutable laws, nearly always is incredible as well as improbable. Occasionally, moreover, the more real, the more improbable it is. Defending the reality of his own novels, he used to say that their improbable extremes were far closer to everyday reality than the immediately plausible. As proof, he would read from newspaper clippings accounts of the characters and events of a Dostoevsky novel. Since Christina Stead combines with such extremes and immediately plausible naturalism, she could find her own newspaper clippings without any trouble. But the easiest defense of all would be simply for her to say, remember? We do remember. And remembering, we are willing to admit the normality of the abnormal, are willing to admit that we never understand the normal better than when it has been allowed to reach its full growth and become abnormal. I really love that quote. I really love it's getting to the heart of like the insanity of the book, and I think reflecting on maybe personal memory of our own childhoods and the very personal, most real moments of family life that I'm sure everyone, even people who've had, you know, good family upbringings and good memories of their family, there's still moments of extreme neurosis or pathos that most people kind of normalize. And I think this book is early in terms of it dealing with the subject. A lot of people have read books that deal with families like this, but this book is masterfully written, and historically it is a precursor to many of those classics. I'd also like to include an excerpt from the audiobook narrated by C.M. Hebert. I really enjoyed this audiobook. It captures a lot of the voices. The book is very heavy on dialogue, and so it's very enjoyable to listen to. And this moment that I'm including, it captures her more poetic style. And it's just to give you an idea of her talent and how she manages to intertwine descriptions of natural beauty with scenes from this like tempestuous, insane family saga.
When a quarrel started, Henny and Sam did speak at the height of their most violent quarrels, and elementary truths were spoken, a quiet, a lull would fall over the house. One would hear, while Henny was gasping for indignant breath, and while Sam was biting his lip in stern scorn, the sparrows chipping, or the startling rattle of the kingfisher, or even an oar sedately dipping past the beach, or even the fairy's hoot. Exquisite were these moments. Then the tornado would break loose again. What a strange life it was for them, those quiet children, in this shaded house, in a bower of trees, with the sunny orchard shining, the calm sky and silky creek, with sunshine outside and shrieks of madness inside.
So outside of the subject matter, this book is written beautifully. It's also very noisy, but in a good way. Dialogues go on endlessly in this like impressively familiar manner. It's very lifelike. The book is overbrimming to me. It's overbrimming with stuff, with people, with language, with arguments. Someone once said that to read Christina Stead is to read with the wind against one's back. And I know I keep on referring to a maelstrom, a storm, but even the intensity of the writing makes you feel like you are in that storm with them. Jonathan Franzen once famously said that after reading this book, he felt more that he had lived inside the story itself rather than had finished the book. If this book is up your alley, I really recommend you trying it out. It's underread, it's marvelous. Thank you so much for listening and for putting up with this collage. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you've read this book and you want to share your thoughts, please leave them below. Thanks again. Take care. Bye.